You've landed in the confidence zone with Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach. This is a place for topics of information and inspiration, a place to support you to find your confidence, get bold, and get going. Activation is needed today at all levels. Don't wait for someone else to lead. Lead now where you are with what you have. Your energy and enthusiasm matters. Believe it or not, it impacts all of us. Find your confidence, get bold, and get going. Hello, friends. We are live at 5 in the confidence zone. I am delighted to be here today. We're going to have a fun and funny conversation. So, if you know me, you know I use social prolifically. I have for many, many years, really going on almost 15 years now. Also, if you know me, I create a lot of output. I just do. I'm energized and enthused by the nature of the messages that I have to share. And so I sit here and create. This happened on the day that the budget was passed on July 3rd. I was sitting here that week already in a devastated space. And on that day when the budget was passed, I felt decimated. My whole energy drained. I was worried for humanity and our planet, and in fact, the whole world. I allowed myself to feel the feelings, and then using what I learned from my dear friend, Cornelia Stephanie, I did some emotional processing and very quickly got to asking myself, what can I do? What can I do? I'm just one person. I'm a little person. What can I do? Using my brain only, not AI, I asked myself this question and I answered myself, what do we need? We need community networks. That is what we really need right now, locally based community networks. Then I went into AI and I asked a few questions, and working in partnership with AI, I created a rapid community support network action plan. I did. I got information from AI. I read, I revised, I vetted, I formatted it up in Canva, and I put it out there. Well, minding my own business, the next day, I got tagged by someone whose name is Donn King. And he said, hey, this was a great idea. I wasn't able to download it. Short version of the story is I said, oh, okay, hold on. And I uploaded each of the 7 pages, perhaps, however many pages there were. And then Don, this stranger in the land, somewhere in social media land, said to me, hey, how about if I make a carousel of your plan? So first I had to look that up. It turns out it's like a flip stack book, so that it's easier to click, turn the page. I'm like, wow, thanks. And so that happened in my life. And today, Don is joining me, no longer a stranger in the land. Hi, Don. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Susan. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you and get to know you a little better.
I mean, come on, this is crazy. When I say this, of course, we know social media can be a cesspool. Calling out the truth, it's not a stretch to say that. Of course, we know there are negative implications and ramifications of social media. But Don, several years ago, I'll tell you when it was. It was 2016, I believe. I made a decision to use social media for good. I
Hmm.
stopped my ranting and raving, and I made a commitment and a decision, and I've never wavered. I mean, I am human. I fail on occasion, but I have an ongoing, active, intentional commitment to use social media for good. So I've done things like this that you did for me, but I honestly don't often experience it. So, first of all, great to have you here. Can you please tell us where you're from and what you do?
Sure, absolutely. I'm live in East Tennessee. I'm close to Knoxville, Tennessee. Folks outside the area would not know Maryville, as we say locally, but I live in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. And
Ah,
we were talking before we started recording. You and I are kind of from the same generation. We both work in this confidence area. I'll say quickly that I had a pretty good career going as a speaker, but I have a severely disabled daughter, and she made me kind of undependable. It was unfair for somebody to schedule me a year out, and suddenly for me to have to say I can't be there. My daughter's in the hospital. So I have turned back to my first love of writing, and so that's. I started working in a newspaper when I was 14 years old. And
oh,
one way or another, that's how I've made my living all these years. I also retired about a year ago from a 40-year career teaching college.
oh, okay.
So just real quickly, that's the it's people who work in the kind of fields like you and I do. If you look at our resumes, people think we're all over the place.
Yeah.
But there's a thread there about enabling people to find their own messages and communicate them clearly and effectively. And so that's kind of where you and I overlap. I've been following you for a while because of your work in confidence, and I really appreciate what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, I want to send my personal love to you and your daughter and your relationship and the energy that you give both to the family and also as a result to our world. That's very, very big. It's big, big, big energy. And it's a commitment and the profundity of that love is extreme. So I really want to acknowledge that. And so also give her my best as well, if you
You
would.
bet. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And so, okay, gosh, well, of course, I didn't know this because you were a stranger in the land. But yeah, the way you said it was exactly perfect. And it has taken me a long time to sort of, as I say, come down the funnel. But you and I were obviously in that really slice space where we know that. The underlying confidence comes from the soul,
Mhm.
being connected, knowing yourself, knowing your values, living your values. um, Gosh, teaching in college, that's a whole other conversation we're going to have another time. I definitely am interested in that. Being a writer is fantastic. We just talked, you shared with me before we came on that you have books already published, you have more books in the works. I, of course, am the same. So we also have that in common. One last bit before we go on, and that is the reason I write, Donn, is because of the way I have been impacted personally by others who wrote.
Mhm.
And so, likewise, we're going to talk about your books on my book show, so we won't talk about it here. But
Right.
the nature of what you teach through your books, it's the same, and that's why I show up the way I do. And it's obvious that's why you show up, because you really understand that whomever is intended to receive your work will, and that's
Yeah.
the impact space. It's so good. So now let's get to the question. So one day you're sitting there and you see my post on this plan, and then what happened? You couldn't upload it or download it or access it?
I think initially I got the sense from the message that there should be something there that I'm seeing, and just not seeing it, and I mean, I love LinkedIn. That's where you and I are connected. And
Yeah.
among social media, I think LinkedIn is the least toxic, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm reading what you're saying. I'm relating to the idea of, because you were talking about in the post itself about the rapid response community network.
Yeah.
And I said that this is something that would be encouraging. It's useful. I was going through similar kind of I guess you would say grief, angst, anger,
Mm,
um, quick background. Not to dig into it too much, but I have been a lifelong little L libertarian. I don't trust either of the major parties. But I'll be honest that my grief in a lot of ways recently has been what I see as the death of the Republican Party. There is no Republican Party anymore. It's ironic that they call traditional Republicans rhinos because they are Republican in name only. So, we'll just put that out there as context. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so I, I've got some grieving around that from a little different space. And having a disabled daughter, honestly, I don't think it was ever the government's business to be involved in our healthcare. I don't want the people who run the Department of Motor Vehicles running my healthcare system. But they do. And if they're going to do it, I think they ought to do it right, and so it's that kind of thing. Okay.
yeah,
So, Rapid Response Community Network. This sounded like a very positive response to what I see as a very dangerous time in our culture. And I couldn't see it on LinkedIn. But I know LinkedIn fosters these connections. And so we were already, I'm trying to remember, I think I was just following you. I'm not
yeah.
sure.
No,
Uh,
I didn't know you at all. We
yeah.
must have been linked.
Yeah. And so here's a little side note here on LinkedIn, folks. Since Susan, I was following Susan, but we were not connected. So I
Right.
couldn't send her a message directly, but she and I were in a group together on LinkedIn. And you may or may not know this. If you go into the group from within there, you can send a message to anybody else who's in the group. So I messaged Susan as well as I
Yeah.
think making a comment on the
Yeah,
post.
and yeah, exactly. And I was traveling. I think I was in Washington State. I don't know where I was. Just the other day. This was just, yeah, it was just last week. And I saw it and I said, "Oh my gosh, shoot!" Like I uploaded it, but obviously this person couldn't download it. And I said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for letting me know." And I love that you're just also talking about LinkedIn because I teach. I've been on LinkedIn for 19 years,
Oh,
and
wow.
I teach LinkedIn to young professionals and transitioning professionals, and I have a tutorial. And so all the things you said are exactly right. And but you have to be activated.
Yeah.
You activated yourself. And so then I got the message, "Oh, I can't download these." Then I had to stay in the energy of this conversation. I thank you so much for saying that you really got the idea of rapid community support networks. That's
Mhm.
what we really need.
And got
And
that from the post, even though I couldn't
yes,
see.
I talked about that in the post, exactly. And but also in these difficult times, sometimes you're all here, there, and everywhere, and you're dealing with this and you're dealing with the other thing. I was traveling, and you don't stay with something.
Mhm.
And so the fact that then a few days later, a day or two later, I said, "Oh, I got to remember," and I uploaded all of the individual pages because I was on vacation. So I wasn't, in my workspace
Right.
figuring things out. And then that's when you said, "Do you want me to make a carousel?" So I have used, I think it's called Flipstack in the past, which is it,
Substack, or is that
no,
what
no,
you're
not
talking
no, no, not a
about?
Substack. It's called either Flipstack or Flipbook, something like
Flipbook.
that.
Okay, yeah, Flipbook. Yeah.
Yeah, Flipbook. And you upload and you can click and it actually turns the page. And it's very cool. It's a great app. But I was not familiar with carousel. So to tell you the truth, I was like, you said, "Do you want me to make a carousel?" And I figured, I don't know what that is, but okay. And I
Have at
said,
it. Yeah.
"Yeah, have added." And then further this discussion, what we're doing here is showing like beauty and blessing in that can be had if you're not succumbed to the darkness,
Mhm.
right? and
Yeah.
and if you can stay confidently in your space in the light, then you can help each other. And then so then you wrote a beautiful post, and then you created the carousel, and then I saw how you could just click the arrow and turn the
Mhm.
pages.
Mhm.
And what this plan is a what I said was I wanted it to be rapid, so in 1 month's time, because right now we need things to be fast. Right now we need rapid community support networks.
Mhm.
So there's 5 phases, and it's very detailed. It goes through. Oh, and I also said
And it's very practical. I want to throw that in there. It's very practical.
it's practical. I also said inexpensive. So
Yep.
right now we need people to save their money for healthcare, right? And to
Mhm.
save their money for rising prices, and to save their money especially to be able to support your neighbors who are going to need support as a result of this budget. So I'm not trying to be like, oh, well, if you have $10,000 to spend, then you can do this. So I really sat there that night, that it took, a few hours that night that the budget was passed. And I sort of was having this conversation with myself. And this is the way I use AI, Don.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to use AI to write for me. Nobody writes for me. And
Right.
nobody writes
Right.
for me. I know, like you, every word I write is my own.
Yes.
But I have learned to use AI to support what I want to create.
Mhm.
And in a case like this, I wanted it to get out quickly. And so that same night, I put this out, and then you saw it, and then you created the carousel. So there's so many beautiful lessons in this. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, the plan is practical, it's explicit, it's fast, and it's inexpensive. And to the point where you're caring for your daughter,
Mhm.
and whatever your circumstances are with that, there may be times when the care, according to your personal values that you're living, um, have to take precedence over something else, where it would be nice if you could access this small community network and say, hey, I need this, or I need help. Or otherwise, in my case, my kids are grown and gone. I'm single now, and I work a lot, but I have a lot of time. I could say, hey, does anybody need anything?
Mhm.
And this is really what we want to foster today, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you recognize you've got some control in areas that somebody like I do not. I could look at what you do and say, boy, I wish I could do that. Or I can focus on what I can do. Right now, there is a nursing shortage. Don't get me
Yes.
started about the bureaucratic cause of that, but that's another discussion. Uh, I'm taking care of her up to 108 hours a week.
Mm.
And so there's a group, for instance, there's a group here in our town that is a local chapter of a wonderful organization called Braver Angels. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Okay,
No.
Braver Angels seeks to foster dialogue between people of opposing viewpoints, with the idea that so much of what goes on in our country, the vitriol comes from not recognizing the other side as human. And so when we find out that we have more in common than we have differences, then we start having conversations. And again, just to not spend much time on it, but I'm convinced this whole division thing is part of the strategy. If they can keep us fighting each other, then we don't notice what they're doing to us. Anyway, Braver Angels is a great organization. I used to go to their meetings. I have not been able to because of taking care of Hannah. I can't
Right.
leave the house much of the time. And so to look at the idea of organizing with a group itself is kind of overwhelming to me. I could have just said, I can't do that. And that was the end of it. Or what can I do? Well, I can help to foster this message
Yeah.
and help to put it out there in accessible form, and help through Zoom or help virtually, because I can get online. I'm not in her room right now, but if I was, I could still get on here with you. You know. So what can you do? And to me, that was one of
Oh,
the great
so
bits
good.
about what you did. But oh man, you can get lost in what's going wrong, how things were 20 years ago. Not that they were great. Um, you can get lost in that and give into despair, which not only is not useful. But as I said, I'm convinced that feeds their strategy. And so, is in a way, me saying, okay, what can I do? It may be just a little bit, but it's flying in the face of what they want, which is for me to just lie down.
Yeah, and be inert
Yeah.
and succumb to the difficult feelings, the fearfulness of what might happen, what could happen. I love it. You said, "What can I do?" The
Yes.
emphasis is very clear. You know, what can I do? And this message that we're sharing today, which is, you don't have to do all the big thing,
Yeah.
right? And even you could be in the room with the energy with your daughter, and perhaps she's resting or I don't know what, and you can be on Zoom. I mean, Don, many years ago, between 12, 13 years ago, I made a decision to grow an online business model because my daughter at that time lived far, or was going far away, and I had other people I wanted to visit. I wanted to be able to work while I visited. Well, now turns out I ended up in Arizona from New York. Now my other daughter in New York is far away, but my business is online. I do some things locally. I have been working with intention to foster local connections. So
Hmm.
I am also working on that now, but I do find the richness of what happened here, and even this conversation is so good. I'm loving this conversation. First of all, I didn't know about Braver Angels, the purpose of which is to foster dialogue,
Yeah. Not
dialogue,
agreement, not agreement,
dialogue,
but understanding, so yeah.
right, dialogue between people of opposing viewpoints.
Yeah.
Opposing viewpoints didn't used to be a problem.
Yeah.
It's like
Sadly, yes, that's the case. Yeah.
yeah, it was okay. It didn't matter. We didn't all have to agree. We don't all have to agree. And so I hope that they'll also probably maybe be online or maybe go hybrid or whatever to be able to perpetuate their mission, or grow it out further.
And they actually do that. Our
Yeah.
local chapter, has an online component. So
Right. That makes sense because you're not the only one in your
sure.
circumstance, and in a growing, increasing way. We could talk about the use of weed perpetration on the brain cells, and all the things, the addictions, and all the things that are dimming down society. But instead, I wanted to come here and meet up with you. And eventually, maybe I'll get to Tennessee, and then we'll be what I call IRL, in real life. I've met many people in real life after meeting them online, and share a really beautiful point of light. And now we know your side of the story. Now
Exactly.
we know how you saw this and found it. You were also feeling in difficulty, and then but you obviously have a practice, a
Hmm.
habit of asking, well, what can I do?
I
And
try.
then
No.
yeah, you obviously have a
It's a
practice.
conscious thing because I'll tell you, my natural bent is not positive. And so I have to consciously, I'll catch my initial reactions of despair and make a change. But it doesn't come naturally to me. So
Wow.
I put that out there as encouragement for anybody else out there. I'm approaching 70, and it's been like this all of my life, but
Wow.
it's a practice, and
It's a practice. I spoke with this about Kate Schultz, the author of The Soul Primer,
mhm.
today. That it's just a very, very simple practice embedded here to support the transformation, the transformative way that you want to think. Also, Don, I teach thought transformation,
Mhm.
and by getting in control of your thoughts, and that's what you're doing. So wow, that's not an easy thing to do. Also, I want to acknowledge that it would be very much easier for you not to be trying to change yourself when you're spending 108 hours a week caregiving. It would
Mhm.
be very much easier just to, not do that work.
Yeah,
But it feels very much better, like this, when that led to that, led to that, led to this lovely conversation. So I really want to thank you for sharing that bit with me.
sure.
In my books, I do share the story of my former type A, my, sort of pessimistic-ish orientation, that'll never happen, or the negative limiting beliefs, as we call them. And so I also have been on the journey of that, and
Yeah.
I do work every day. I use qigong and tai chi,
Mhm.
and I'm in nature every day. And so I have tools that I use to do that as well. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. So, look, we're going to talk again about your books over on my book show podcast, and I look forward to that. And I really hope that people will watch this. We're live now, but it will be a recorded video.
Sure.
And I really hope that people will say, did this really happen? And here we are, two people saying, yeah, this really happened. Like
Oh, yeah.
this, yeah, this happened. And so I just want to say thank you so much, Don, for seeing me.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm trying. There's something that's trying to get out of my head right now. It's not quite formed. You know these statistics better than I do. There's something like less than 5% of people on LinkedIn who ever actually engage. They're mostly just readers, lurkers, whatever, and it just feels better. It's what I think I understand in Eastern thought that might be called wise selfishness. It
Mm,
just feels better to help somebody else. And so it makes my life better as well, to take action. And it happened
yeah.
that I knew how to make a carousel. And again, tip for LinkedIn folks, it's not all that hard. You just start with a PDF. It's in the way you upload it. And
Yeah.
it just makes it more accessible. And it felt good to contribute to that. So yeah.
It's so good. So first of all, to tell you the truth, I did not know that statistic. Now I'm going to go look up that statistic. I'm very surprised. It would be a low percentage of people who actually engage. Most of them are lurkers, as you
Mhm.
said, because I am so activated on LinkedIn. I've gotten many clients from my engagement in LinkedIn and
Yeah.
from doing things like this. And but I guess it takes being an activated person. And right now, we also are role modeling this because it's not like you don't have anything going on or I don't have anything going on. People who know me, who follow me, know I lost my husband a few years ago. Yesterday was his birthday. It was, a difficult day. So everybody's got something going on.
Yeah.
There's no one who doesn't have a story that I call under the surface. And, but yet, even despite those things, if you can rise, like you said, it just feels better. So
Can
go
can
ahead.
can I share quickly a story that relates to what you're talking about right now, and it's
Yeah.
deeply for all of us. Among other things, I also pastor a church, and so years ago, we're talking about the late '80s. I had somebody in my office. He was one of those people that you meet him on the street. He's always hearty, well met. Always got a joke and all that. And he's in my office because it's the anniversary of the day that his wife died in his arms as the result of a traffic accident. And
Oh,
she was pregnant with their child.
oh my gosh.
And there was another child in the back seat that I think died, another one who lived. And you would never know that to see him on the street. And then he left my office and somebody else came in. They've got a story of something they're dealing with. And I realized after a while, for everybody you meet, there is something that if you knew about it, you would be saying, how is it you're not curled up in a fetal position on the floor?
Yes.
But we think we're the only ones and we don't want to burden other people. So we don't talk about it. And that increases our sense of isolation. So I'm not saying everybody ought to be out there spilling their guts, but just to recognize, as you say, if I would tell my college students who tended to be young, a lot of them had already been through something like that. But I would say to them, if this hasn't happened to you yet, buckle up, Buttercup. It's coming. I don't
Yeah.
want to scare you, but just realize that humans are more resilient than we give ourselves credit for, and reach out because other people go through it. And so this is just to add an exclamation point to what you just said. I'm sorry to hear about your loss, but I know that's part of being human.
Yeah, so much, all that times a million. Um, Also, what's so important about what we're speaking out here is younger people with social media perpetration. They think everyone else is all that.
Yeah.
Their minds are undeveloped. They don't realize I'm just seeing a picture, which is just basically a snapshot, one single second in time
Mhm.
that snapshot got taken. That's not the extent. It was just that 1 second. And so as we mature, we realize these things. But yeah, this message is so important today. And my people who follow me, they know me. I literally just did a live talking about somebody who reached out to give me a message that she found a letter about my mother who died 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so I cried. Like sharing emotion and showing emotion only does one thing. It shows that you're human.
Hmm.
And trying to be anything other than human does not work out well, does it?
Yeah. Very good. I mean, at the root of the word emotion is the word motion. Emotion is that which moves us. So rather
Mm,
than try to get rid of it, we want to harness it.
yeah. Oh my God, this is so good. Well, Don, I'm loving this. I want to wish you the very best. I want to say thank you. And I'm going to be seeing you very soon because now, much more than ever, I really want to give you the podcast space to share the wisdom in the two books that you have. You have more coming out in that series.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also working on another book that I really believe will have seminal importance because it has to do with, as you shared it to me, the ability to still create even while you may be caregiving
Yes.
of another. And we know there'll be more and more of this. So I'm wishing you the best in your writing accountability.
Thank you so much. It's so great talking with you today and connecting with your audience. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you soon, Don. Take good care.
You too. Bye bye.